Well, I wasn't thinking clearly. I had just lost Gordon and then the move into this place. I thought a little dog would be good company. They allow us to have them here, so I got Mr. Rochester off of that petfinder.com thing. Oh, I had no idea how needy a 12-pound Yorkshire Terrier could be. When I sit, he has to be right on my lap. When I walk, he has to be right under my feet every step of the way. He follows me into the bathroom. Oh, and speaking of which, you wouldn't believe how often a little dog like that has to relieve himself. I have to take him out 4, maybe 5 times a day. I know. You're thinking a little exercise would do me no harm, right? Well, it's really no exercise at all. It's just annoying. Down the hall, into the elevator, across the lobby, and then pick him up and carry him across the lawn because God forbid he should desecrate the garden, and then over to the little designated doggy toilet area. And then the whole thing in reverse, 5 times a day. Well, every cloud has a silver lining, right? It was on one of these doggy runs that I met Vivian. She was just sitting in the lobby waiting for the mail when we toddled by. Oh, she just swooned over Mr. Rochester. Oh, well, people do. He is cute. We got to talking and Vivian told me how she'd always wanted a little dog. But her husband Roy doesn't like animals. Husband, I said. We don't get many of those around here. So I told her all about the problems I was having with Mr. Rochester, how he was driving me nuts. She said she was having similar difficulties with her husband, Roy. She said I should count myself lucky that he doesn't expect me to cook him 3 meals a day and isn't always trying to get in my pants. Tell me more, I said, and she did. She said she and Roy had moved in about 3 months ago, and Roy was not adjusting well at all, had no interest whatsoever in any of the activities, bocce ball, pinochle, cultural outings to the art museum or the botanical gardens or the casino. Said he wouldn't budge from the couch. He wouldn't even go to the dining hall for meals. Said he'd been living off Vivian's cooking for 60 years and had no intention of changing now. All he wanted to do was watch ESPN and have sex with Vivian. I won't lie, I was intrigued. Too much sex is not a complaint you hear very often from women our age. So I asked, is this new behavior? Because if it was, it could be a vitamin deficiency or something. But she said no, they'd always been very active. And she herself wasn't adverse to a good roll in the hay once or twice a week. Well, but with nothing to do and nothing to take his mind off of it, Roy was just pestering the heck out of her morning, noon, and night, and she was tired of it. I clapped her on the shoulder and I said, honey, I would trade problems with you any day of the week. Well, I was joking, right? But Vivian got this real serious look on her face and she said, do you cook? Do I cook? Honey, I cooked 3 husbands into an early grave. I love to cook. And she asked, do you have anything in your apartment that needs to be fixed, like a squeaky faucet or leaky faucet or a squeaky door? I said, well, I've got a set of IKEA bookshelves that I put together myself, and they're kind of cattywampus. She said, perfect. Tomorrow morning, you bring Mr. Rochester down to our place, and you take Roy and his toolbox back to your place with you. You have him fix your bookshelf, and then you fix him a good lunch by way of thanks. If you turn on the TV, he might be persuaded to take a nap on your sofa after he's eaten. Keep him as long as you like. Well, I was just flabbergasted at first. After I thought about it a while, the more sensible it seemed. I was desperate to get a few hours away from Mr. Rochester, and I did miss having someone to cook for. And I like having a man on the couch. It's just nice having someone of the male persuasion to natter to while I knit or crochet or whatever. But I asked, what if Roy doesn't want to fix my bookshelves? And she said, You just leave that to me. Well, what if Roy wants to fix more than my bookshelves? And I wiggled my eyebrows up and down so she'd know what I meant. She said, I'll just leave that to you. And that was that. Well, it's been about 6 weeks and we have it down to a routine. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Mr. Rochester goes to Vivian and Roy comes to me. Everybody's happy. Vivian has the little dog she always wanted. Mr. Rochester gets all the attention he craves. I get a few hours of peace and a man to do for. And Roy gets, well, let's just say that you don't outlive 3 husbands without developing skills in more than just cooking. I still have to put up with Mr. Rochester on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and that's about 3 days too many. But word on the grapevine is that we're getting a new couple, new neighbors soon, right down the hall. I wonder if she likes little dogs.